I found out my husband was cheating on me and he begged me not to end our marriage for the sake of our children. But guess what? He got busted messing around with his ex-wife and our daughter saw the whole thing. I never thought it would come to this. It was supposed to be the perfect family, or at least that's how it seemed on the surface. When I met my husband, I was drawn to the way he spoke of his kids. His daughter, who was 10 at the time, and his son, who was 8. They had their issues, sure. No family is perfect. But he was a loving father and I admired that. I knew going into it that he was divorced, and his relationship with his ex-wife, while not ideal, was manageable. Little did I know, I was about to find myself in the middle of a storm that I never saw coming. When my husband and I got married, his kids moved in with me. I had inherited a 3-bedroom house from my parents, and we made it our home. His daughter Emma and his son Luke seemed to settle in quickly. At first, I was more of a supporting figure, stepping in to help with schoolwork activities, and the general parenting duties that he and his ex-wife seemed to have little interest in managing. It wasn't a big deal at the time. I enjoyed the role I was playing and found joy in helping the kids thrive. But things weren't always as they seemed. His ex, Melissa, wasn't around much. She traveled often, and when she wasn't on her trips, she was often preoccupied with her own pursuits, leaving me to handle the day-to-day life of the kids. The tension was palpable at times, but I powered through. It was what I had signed up for. What I didn't realize was how quickly I'd become the primary caretaker. Both my husband and his ex seemed content to let me handle the grunt work while they came and went as they pleased. Still, there were good moments. Emma and I grew close, especially since she had always felt neglected by her mother. We bonded over the shared love of sports, something I had a background in. It wasn't easy for her to adjust, but I was there every step of the way. Luke and I got along too, though he was a bit more reserved. Life, though imperfect, was moving forward. I had been trying to get pregnant for about a year, and while I didn't mind the frequency of intimacy with my husband, it felt like everything was finally coming together. Until it wasn't. It was a simple thing that triggered it all. I had taken Luke on an overnight field trip, and when we returned, Emma was a wreck. She didn't have the words for it at first, but after some coaxing, she revealed something that shook me to my core. She had walked into our bedroom, expecting to find it empty, only to find her father and his ex-wife together. In my bed. The betrayal hit me like a freight train. I couldn't wrap my head around it. It didn't make sense. My husband had been intimate with me just the night before, and here he was with her, behind my back. I had always known their history wasn't clean, but this? It was beyond anything I could have imagined. After confronting him, the lies started unraveling. It wasn't just a one-time thing. Their affair had been going on for months, maybe even a year. I felt nauseous as the reality set in. For all the effort I had put into this family, into these children, it felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, watching everything fall apart. I filed for divorce that very week. My husband begged me to reconsider. He promised it was a mistake, that it meant nothing, and that we could work through it. But how could I? After everything, how could I ever trust him again? The worst part wasn't even the betrayal itself. It was the fact that he begged me to keep the family together, not for us but for the kids. As if they were the ones who needed saving. The kids, especially Emma, wanted to stay with me. Luke was more conflicted. I had no idea how I was going to manage, but I did know one thing. I couldn't live with him anymore. He moved into an apartment and we began the painful process of separating our lives. It wasn't just the betrayal that hurt. It was the way Melissa waltzed back into my life with no regard for the boundaries I had set. I was trying to rebuild my life and she was acting like she still had some claim over my home, my space, my family. She would show up uninvited, expecting me to take care of everything for the kids as if nothing had changed. She treated me like a glorified nanny, expecting me to handle the kids while she flitted in and out of their lives, without ever acknowledging what she had done. And my husband? He kept trying to come back as if nothing had happened. He showed up at my house at all hours, asking to talk, begging for another chance. It was infuriating. He expected me to pretend like everything was fine when the truth was that everything was broken. I tried to stand my ground, but the constant pressure from both him and Melissa was wearing me down. It felt like I was losing my grip on everything. One night, I came home after a long day to find my ex and Melissa sitting at my dinner table, eating the lasagna I had made for the kids. I snapped. It wasn't just the audacity of it all. It was the fact that they had the nerve to treat my home as if it were still theirs. I screamed at them, demanded they leave. Emma was caught in the crossfire, and Luke, who had been largely shielded from the drama until that point, was visibly shaken. It wasn't my finest moment, but I couldn't contain my anger anymore. I had been patient, I had been understanding, and I had been the one to hold this family together for so long, but not anymore. After that, things only got worse. Melissa started showing up uninvited, and I had to call the cops to remove her from my property. Luke, angry and confused, turned on me. He shoved me during an argument, causing me to fall to the ground. The look on his face as he did it was one of pure disbelief. I had never expected him to react that way, especially not towards me. It shattered me. The weeks that followed were a blur of emotional chaos. Luke didn't want to live with me anymore, and my ex was demanding that I fix everything. But how could I? The damage was done. I couldn't go back to the way things were. My heart was broken not just by my husband's betrayal but by the way my family, what I thought was my family, had fallen apart. Through it all, Emma stood by me. She was hurt too, but she didn't want to go back to her mother's house. She promised me that she would keep Melissa out of our lives, and I believed her. It wasn't easy, but I was determined to make it work for her. She was all I had left, and I was all she had. A few weeks later, my ex and Melissa's relationship fell apart. They were barely speaking anymore, and I couldn't say I was sad to hear it. They were both reaping what they had sown, but that didn't bring me any satisfaction. I wanted my old life back. The life where I was happy, where we were a family. But it was gone, irreparably shattered by their selfishness. The divorce wasn't easy, and it dragged on longer than I anticipated. But eventually it was final. I got what I wanted: the house, the car, my independence. I had nothing left to tie me to him, and for that I was relieved. But relief didn't come with happiness. It came with emptiness. I had worked so hard to build a family, and it had crumbled right before my eyes. I tried to date again, but each attempt only made the loneliness more painful. Nothing seemed to fit. My stepdaughter was thriving though, and that brought me some comfort. But even as she moved on to college, a part of me feared what would happen when she left. My home would be empty and I would be alone again. 2 years passed. I gave up on dating and focused on rebuilding my life. I made new friends, focused on my career, and tried to find peace within myself. That's when I met someone new. He was different. I was cautious at first, but as time went on, I began to feel something I hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Now I'm pregnant. Unexpectedly but happily. This time things are different. I'm not trapped in a broken marriage. I'm not cleaning up after others. I'm free. And though the road to get here was long and painful, I can finally say that I'm happy again. I've learned to cherish the good things, to find joy in the little moments, and to let go of the things I can't control.